Welcome. My name is Karen.
And my name is Miriam.
We are with the Office of Historic Alexandria. Join us as we take a walking tour of the Contrabands Freedmen Cemetery Memorial at 1001 South Washington Street, on the corner of South Washington and Church Street in Alexandria, Virginia. The memorial opened in 2014 after a 7-year-long design process guided by a steering committee of community members. 164 design proposals were submitted from around the world, and the committee chose a design by Alexandria resident C.J. Howard. If you visit the site in person, there is limited parking in the neighborhood nearby.
We will begin our tour on Church Street around the corner from the gate marked Freedmen's Cemetery, at the panel describing the layout and history of the site. When you are ready, start walking uphill towards the intersection of Church Street and South Washington Street. The Union Army established this cemetery in January of 1864, and it was in use until January of 1869. During the Civil War, many African American people escaped from slavery and came to Union-held Alexandria. The U.S. Army called these people contraband, or captured enemy property. This meant they were protected from the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, which stated any U.S. citizen must return a person who had escaped from slavery. After the Civil War, the 13th and 14th Amendments to the Constitution made clear that no person could be considered property in the United States.
As you continue up the sidewalk, look to your right. You'll see an ornamental fence, meant to emulate the wooden picket fence that the U.S. Army built to surround the site as cheaply and expeditiously as possible. The cost for the fence and the tool house on the site was $51.75. At the intersection sits the historic marker, installed in the year 2000 as a result of the work of the Friends of the Freedmen Cemetery Community Group. Founded in 1997 to memorialize and bring awareness to the cemetery.
Between 1999 and 2007, archaeologists located many specific graves in the cemetery and found thousands of artifacts showing that Native Americans lived at the site for thousands of years before the colonial era. They found that, in the past, the boundary of the cemetery extended farther, under what is now the exit for the Beltway and under South Washington Street. If you look down at the sidewalk, you will see an engraved tile explaining that the lighter colored bricks mark the graves that archaeologists located underneath the sidewalk.
Next, you will pass through the gate marked Freedmen Cemetery. This entrance was chosen by the committee to mark the path used to bring caskets into the cemetery by wagon. The families of the deceased paid between $2 and $5 for a coffin, which could be reprieved or paid by installments. Following religious tradition, the caskets were buried in an east-west orientation, with at least 43 rows of graves parallel to South Washington Street. They were marked by whitewashed wooden crosses that deteriorated over time.
Walking on the path, if you look to your left, you will see markers inscribed with Grave of an Adult and Grave of a Child. The memorial has markers for just over 500 people at rest in the cemetery. Of around 1,700 burials, over 800 were children under the age of 5.
This information is found in the Book of Records, discovered through the research of Wesley E. Pippinger, and first written for the Office of the Civilian Superintendent of Contrabands. After the war's end, it was maintained by the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands. It holds a record of each person buried, including their name, date of death, and other information. Many of the children were recorded as stillborn, or they died of a disease such as smallpox. If you continue up the path, to the right you will see a structure with the wall of names, honoring those listed in the Book of Records. Nationally known genealogist Char Barr was brought on board to locate living descendants of those memorialized. A book of her genealogy research is available for purchase at the gift shop of the Alexandria History Museum at the Lyceum. She was able to identify some descendants in the area who currently work for the city of Alexandria, as well as others throughout the country. If a descendant has been found, there is a marker by that name on the wall.
The structure of the memorial also features historical details and reliefs representing the lives of the African Americans in Alexandria during the Civil War. One relief shows men, women, and children escaping from slavery. After reaching Alexandria, many would go on to live in crowded and unhealthy conditions. They found work with the Union Army and other employers as laborers, dock workers, laundresses, and nurses. A map shows the neighborhoods they built in Old Town. Another relief shows children attending school. Before the Civil War, it was against the law to educate an enslaved person. This was the first chance for many children and adults to get an education. Many were taught by Julia Wilbur and by Harriet Jacobs, an African-American author who came to Alexandria as an aid worker. The memorial features her quote, "The first demand of these fugitives, when they come into the place, is that their children may go to school." Finally, you will arrive at the memorial center at the statue titled "The Path of Thorns and Roses" by Mario Chiodo. Each figure symbolizes the journey from slavery to freedom.
The figures are oppression, unjust treatment for something you cannot change about yourself, like race, ethnicity, or gender. Struggle, when you have to persevere and keep fighting against the powers that oppress you. Sacrifice, when you give up something to gain something better in the future. Loss, enslaved people lived with many sources of grief, deprived of freedom, and losing loved ones. Compassion, when someone recognizes suffering and offers to help. Can you think of ways to show compassion in your life? And finally, hope, when you still believe in something good in the future, even after struggle, sacrifice, and loss. The figure at the top is holding out the rose of freedom, standing on his toes to avoid the thorns of oppression. When the Contrabands Freedmen Cemetery Memorial opened in 2014, the city held a rededication ceremony to honor the memory of the men, women, and children who fought to gain their own freedom and a better way of life.
The poet laureate of Alexandria, Mary McKelvey, wrote the piece "Wind from the River" for the ceremony. Here is an excerpt. Death knows no limit, time nor place, yet hope springs up like a summer breeze with promise of healing rain. One family, knit of freedom, father, mother, child, shall in the end prevail. May we all abide in peace.